Hello, hello, Tom.
What's up, brother?
How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well.
Good, good. It's a kind of a weird week for me, but it's like kind of ending good. It was like off to kind of a really hectic and chaotic start, and
Yeah.
it's kind of going better now.
Well, that's good. That's good, man.
Yeah. So, what about you? What are you up to?
Honestly, I feel like my week's just picking up.
Oh, good.
It was slower than usual on, the first 2 days of the week for me,
Right.
and I'm walking into like just a slam schedule for the rest of the week. So
Oh, sometimes, man, I dig that. Like you're just like, especially if it's good stuff and it's not like
yeah.
work problems. It's kind of like a good, yeah.
Honestly, it sucks to have like a trickle in of patients, and you have those gaps where you're like, it's long enough to start something, but not long enough to finish something.
Yeah, right.
And then, and then when you're slammed, it's like, oh shit. Not only did I not eat lunch, I haven't gone to the bathroom in 4 hours, and I'm going home in 10 minutes, and you're like, oh, that's great. This is great.
But you know what? I'll be honest, like I have the same problem, except for I would kill for what you have that I don't, which is the ability to walk back and forth in that hallway.
It's literally a 3-foot walk.
No, I know, but you're
two
moving
steps
at least.
between two.
You know what I mean? Like I probably had, actually, I can see, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 calls in a row. Right? And in 5 calls, you're just going from one to the other, to the other, to the other. And so basically from, 10:30 this morning until about 3 in the afternoon, I was just just straight on through. And you're going from one video call and one, on one platform to another video call on a different platform, and then back to the first platform, and then over to this new other platform you've never heard of. It's just all day, and sometimes I look up and I'm like, damn, I haven't left my desk. So I've become acutely aware of this problem. And now that the weather is starting to kind of break a little bit, I'm having to like really get back into being more adamant about taking movement breaks.
Yeah. I totally, like one day I wanted to put on Map My Run and just watch this little figure 8 around 2 tables that's
so funny.
Only about 10 feet apart.
You should actually do that. That would be awesome. Like to have that information just one time, just do that.
They might think I'm standing still. That's how small these 2 spaces are.
Oh, that'd be a fun experiment, though. I'd love to see that.
I'll do it tomorrow morning. I'll leave it on for like an hour or so.
Right, and just be like, this is my day as is recorded by Map My Run.
That would be hysterical. I always wanted to see like if I've changed the flooring in the 2 treatment rooms. Have I worn down some of that high traffic carpet?
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, well, you probably have. I mean, why not?
I'm a heavy dude. I've been there for 6.5 years.
yeah, that's funny. So anything going on fun, new, exciting?
Man, I have not traveled since the pandemic, and I booked a seminar on Acupoint injection therapy coming up in April, and it's in Denver. And one, I'm just excited to go learn something new. I mean, this is a topic I've been really wanting to study for a long time.
Sure.
And 2, I haven't been in a state where there's recreational cannabis.
Oh,
so I mean, like that's crazy, right? I mean, that's super crazy.
Very interesting time then.
Well, look, I gotta say, we booked a hotel that's a mile away from the place where the seminar is being held,
right?
And in between the seminar and the hotel, there's 3 dispensaries, 2 distilleries, 3 breweries, and I'm like, I hope I make it to day 2.
Yeah. How many days are you there?
It's just a 2-day seminar, but wow. And I really just want to walk in and go, oh.
Did you book a 3rd day there just to do something?
Look, man, I got to say, I'm already booking patients out that far. It's insanity. So it's like,
so you're, so you're getting back.
I'm taking a red eye. I'm coming in at 4 a.m. to BWI, and that's going to be hell.
Yeah, that sounds like poor trip planning, sir. Sounds like very poor trip design.
All right. Well, I gotta say, the older I get, the more I just want to go home. Like that's
No,
it.
I hear you.
It's like, all right, I'm rolling out of here and I'm going to the airport. Well, what are you going to do at the airport? I'm going to sit in the airport for 6 hours until my flight leaves.
Right. Yeah. I just went to Vegas and I kind of felt the same way. It's like when I had a good time while I was there. You hit it to win it, and you just get the hell out of there. Like you just like I'm going home. So I walked an entire trade show that was probably like 1,200 booths. Went to meetings, had client dinners, did everything, and then I squeezed it all into like 36 hours, and I was like, and I'm out.
Peace out.
Yeah, like I'm just like, and I'm out here, right? Like
I did this thing. I'm going home.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Well, that's cool. When are you getting it? When are you doing that?
So I think that's actually I leave on April Fool's Day.
Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, you're gonna have fun. Denver's actually a fun town. I actually was there for the first legal cannabis cup. I was photographing it actually.
Wow.
And so High Times Magazine's Cannabis Cup in Denver, the first legal one like in the United States ever. And we had press passes, so we actually shot cannabis or Cypress Hill and Slightly Stupid concert like that night. Oh, it was such a good time. And but the vibe in Denver is legit. Like it's just a cool city to visit. I'm not 100% sure I could live there, to be quite honest. I mean, but it's real fun to visit. It's a great city. It's a beautiful city. People are super chill.
Yeah.
The vibe is super chill.
I feel like that, like the Colorado vibe is, it's not the Midwest, but it's definitely more laid back.
Totally.
It's, and I think it's nice to do that every once in a while. I don't think I could not live on a coast.
I know isn't that?
It's like, God, I went to Vail in college, and I've been to Arizona a bunch, and it's great, but I don't know, unless somebody might stab me. Am I really living?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but yeah, who was it? Was it Mark Twain? I think somebody, don't quote me on this, but I've heard it a million times, but it was like, live on the West Coast, not so long that you become soft, live on the East Coast, not so long that you become hard, and die in Denver kind of thing. Right.
That was Mahatma Gandhi, actually. That was.
Yeah. Right. But I do like Denver. Actually, I like Colorado in general. It's just kind of like, I agree with you, man. I feel like my body reacts poorly to being that far from a body of water.
Yeah. Right. It's a weird thing. It's like, and like I've been to Hawaii, love Hawaii, but at the same time, that's different too. It's like, well, there's a mountain. Yeah. There's a mountain right there. Oh, there's the water right there, and it's like, nah, it's perfect weather every goddamn day. Right. It's like almost like, I don't know if there's some like dark emo kid hanging out inside me somewhere that like is too beautiful, man.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
I just one rainy day, please.
Yeah, that's so funny. So I had an interesting day. And you might want to, and you might be interested to know about it, but I finally put my money where my mouth's at and hired a fucking concierge doc. Like absolute requirement. I was like, look, I don't have to keep this forever, but I kind of earmarked some money for a couple months and made it happen for the year. So I paid this guy for the year. Right. And I had my intake today, and now look, for all the weird, biohacking wormholes I've crawled into, I've never had like what they would call, or you would call an executive physical, right? Like a real deep dive physical into yourself. So part of the deal with these doctors is like your intake is hours long. And that's just step one. I have a follow-up several hours appointment to go over all the labs and the test results and everything, and then sit down and actually create like a plan. I'll get to that in a second. But today was basically like, and I've had physicals more or less every year my whole life, but man, this was so refreshing. I gotta tell you, man. You weigh yourself on an actual doctor's scale, like the sliding ones, but you do so only after you've gotten down to your underwear and put on a gown. So like you are basically like, it's an actual body, measurement, right? Like every doctor I've been to in the last 10 years, at least, you walk in, it's winter in the Northeast. I got fucking boots on and a jacket and keys in my pocket. They're like, oh, just step on the scale. I'm like, well, don't you want me to take off like the 15 pounds of shit I'm currently wearing on my body before you get something that's supposed to measure my health?
Yeah.
Like, nope, you're good. Just jump on there. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then at the end of that, at the last doctor I was at the end, his little computer system auto magically spits out like 15 receipts like you're at a Benihana or something.
Yeah.
And like one of them is like, your BMI is too high. And I'm like, oh, really? You mean when you weighed me with 100 fucking things on my body?
Yeah.
Like that didn't throw it off. Okay, good information. I'll just put that right here in my pocket. So this guy's got like, so you do a full body scan, with those machines. What do you call them? Where you stepping on them and you got them in your hands too. And it does almost like a standing DEXA scan without the picture. It's an EKG. It's blood pressure on my hands and feet. Like it's like, I mean, it goes on and on and on. It just goes. Blood draw was like 8 vials of blood or something like that. But it was really an interesting thing to watch a team mobilize for your health. Like they were all there doing something to figure out something about me, and it's just so much less complicated when you create that relationship with your healthcare provider.
It's something I think that, like, God, I've bashed the American healthcare system so much that like we've moved so far away from that relationship.
There's no relationship.
And it's a cattle processing plant, pretty much. It's get in. What does the number say? It doesn't say what we need. Okay, you do this. It says what we need. Go home. You're not sick.
Yeah. And so my last blood count, blood test, they have their lipid panel had like 3 data points on it. It was like LDL, HCl and triglycerides. But I'm like, I asked my doctor, what about APOS A, APOS B, any of the other markers? There's like, 50 of them. And he's like, nah, you're young enough. It doesn't matter. You don't need that level of detail. And I was like,
and if you're going
but
through
it costs
insurance,
nothing.
Yeah, but if you're going through insurance, they won't allow it because you.
But that's exactly my point. They're not allowing it. And I'm like, well, here's the funny thing. And I mean, this is a tired argument for this. So I apologize for that. But it's basically like they have no interest in healthcare. They have interest in sick care. And so it is really, they don't give a shit if I could hit something off at the pass, right? Like,
it's, they call it managed care for a reason. They're going to manage your disease,
Right. And this guy, we had an hour conversation before we even got into the exam part, where he's just asking me family history questions. He's asking me all kinds of interesting stuff, some of which doctors have asked me every time I change doctors, most of which they have not.
Yeah.
And so not only will his tests be very different, but the level of engagement and enthusiasm he has to be in the room with me at that time versus like, oh, you're 6 minutes into your 7.5 minute allotted time frame. You and I need to wrap this up.
Yeah. You're hearing the playoff music in the background.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I was with him for almost 4 hours today.
Wow.
And I mean, like I said, about an hour of that was initial consult, get to know you, maybe a little bit more. Bunch of tests, like all day long, blood, urine. I mean, it was like everything, right? And so, and now I got to go get a colonoscopy, a cardiac calcium test, and a some kind of other test. I cannot remember what it was, but he had a plan. He's like, you have a history of heart disease in your family. You are in exceptional health, but we want to see what's under the hood a little bit. So I've got basically some tests. that are lined up for that. And he's got an entire roadmap. The last part of our meeting today was him giving me a roadmap for, okay, so if this test comes back like this, these are the two directions, that we will go in. We will do this or we will do that. If this test comes back this way, we'll go left or right. And then basically, so we could just literally diagram out the if else statement. And it was just all of a sudden now I'm paying more attention even, like, cause I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. So like, what are we looking for? And then and I'm a nerd, we talk about this stuff a lot. He did say, he's like, it is rare that we get somebody like you to come into this office, because he said, I'll be honest with you, there are pieces of this equation that you are farther ahead of me on at any given time. But what I love about that is, like, when I start talking about Metformin with him, he started asking me all kinds of questions about the pro and the con side.
Yeah.
Like, so he was informed. He's informed about Metformin. Now, he might not have all the ins and outs that I might be up on for Metformin as an anti-aging treatment. But when it comes to the biomechanics of Metformin itself, this man is a ninja. He's been doing it for years. Like, he knows all about Metformin because he's, he happens to have experience in that realm. Interestingly enough, he has an oncology background, and they're using Metformin, experimenting with Metformin in cancers. So he brought that kind of to the surface. And I think it's one of those things where I read a passing article on it once, but it never really went down the rabbit hole on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so I feel like it'll be a good balance, right? Like, I can at least give him ideas and he can tell me if they're fucking absolutely batshit crazy or if there's like some merit to like going down them. So I feel like he'll be like a good sanity check.
Yeah, I think that's great too. And just to have that relationship where it's like, look, I'm going to ask you about this thing I saw, and
Right.
No one's going to think, like, you're not going to get brushed off. You're not going to get the, oh, that's bullshit. Where'd you hear that? And people that are practicing at that level, with functional medicine have to be on top of the new stuff, right? I mean,
Sure.
The expression is old lawyer, young doctor for a reason, right?
Mhm.
Because, laws don't change that often.
No.
And by the time you graduate med school, they say about, almost half of what you learned is outdated. That's crazy.
I always envision medical school these days having to turn to something that's like, look, your pancreas is going to be in the same spot regardless of where technology goes, unless we just replace our organs with synthetic ones. And in which case we can just put the organs in whatever space feels the best. but I mean, mostly if fucking pancreas is going to be where it's at, right? Like, so I feel like medical school turns into like, all right, here is the foundation, here's how the body works. Here's all the pieces, parts. Here's how you fix those pieces, parts. But all the treatments and stuff, like, that stuff's changing like at a furious pace.
Faster than you can learn it in a lot of cases, which is why we see, like, you have your primary, you have your GPs, but they're doing less and less because the new techniques are so specialized and so advanced,
Yeah.
And no, we got to turf you over here. And I don't think that's by design. I just think it's because there's no person on the planet that's going to know it all.
Right. Well, he's got a doctor in his office that is a lipid specialist, like a lipid specialist. It's
just fats, just
fats. Like, and this guy knows an encyclopedic amount about lipids, and he's up on tons of the latest, like, what would be considered loosely biohacking, ways to hack your cholesterol ratios and stuff like that. Like, but he knows all about that stuff because he's just a ninja at lipids, right? Like, and he just focuses on that. And he's a GP, so like, it's, he does have a broader, view, but he's got a ton of specialized knowledge in, you get that blood panel and this dude's like looking at shit you've never even heard of before, like he's, this ratio between this thing over here and this thing over there, like, and he'll tell you a half-hour story on that, so
that's cool.
I don't know. I'm interested. I mean, it's funny. It's something I want to talk about in a context like this, but I feel like I feel a little self-conscious about doing it
Oh, totally.
Because it feels very like privileged, and I don't love how that, and that might be dumb to
I get
say,
that, man. I get that. No, I did some weird stuff when I was the director of acupuncture for this chain of wellness centers. And basically, somebody that's now a really good friend of mine who's a PA who was interpreting these lab results are like, look, Tom, they made this like stupid, simple green, good, yellow. You got to watch this red. That's how you're dying. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make me feel good. And I'm like, am I having a heart attack? I'm going to have a heart attack. And she's like, no, you'll probably have a stroke.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck.
Wow.
It's like, oh, all that red there, that's stroke. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
and it was like, I mean, visually for the average patient, that's traumatic.
That's going to drive you to have a stroke watching.
You don't. And then she goes, okay, so here's what we're going to do. Right. So that's the important part. But like, it might be something for you and I to geek out on numbers or geek out with a specialist in one specific area of blood work or diagnostics.
Yeah.
But the average person, man, getting the, hey, this is really, really bad. That's kind of a wake up call.
So the good news, I guess, is like all the shit I could see, he's like, you are humming along perfectly fine.
Okay, good. That's good.
So he's, my lovely wife consistently complains about me not hearing things. She says, you're deaf, except literally got all of those right, like completely passed the hearing exam. And I feel like my eyesight short range is like turning to shit.
Yeah.
But I got a 2015 and a 2013.
Wow.
In left and right eyes respectively.
That's great.
And I was like, okay, so like what is that, 15, 20 feet away or something like that? Like,
yeah,
great. I got 2015 and 2013 vision. That's excellent. Never had corrective anything like yet. So I'm like, that's great. Except if I had something 8 inches from my face, couldn't fucking tell you what it was if you had a gun in my head.
It's gonna bite you.
Yeah. It's like, like I'm like, no, I can't read this shit. It's like a foot from my face. It's got
to be honest. I think it might be when you're in a relationship for a long time, your hearing gets very selective. I have a feeling my wife.
I've looked
my wife in the face and I'm like, I was looking at you. You said words.
And I'm not going to lie to you. I heard none of them.
What were you doing? I was singing the Scooby-Doo theme song in my head. It sounded like I wasn't
right.
I wasn't here. I'm sorry.
Was not here. Yeah. No, absolutely not. But it's good to know that I'm not legally deaf because
that's good. That's good.
I passed that with flying colors apparently. Yeah, and this colonoscopy I've never had before, but I mean, there's like a whole preparatory regime.
Now's the time. I mean, we're of that age, man.
So they just moved it back to 45. It used to be 50, and I'm 45, and they've moved it back to 45. So, but I'm actually like interested in the prep process just because it seems like super nerdy and stepwise, and I like anything that's like many steps involved in. So I don't know. It's going to be fun. Got to go on for all these tests.
Maybe we'll live record that.
Yeah.
Didn't Ricky Lake do one on something?
Yeah, I think she did. Yeah. There was there was somebody shadowing the doctor today. Right. And I had somebody else in the room and, also a doctor, but a female. And he's like, would you prefer if she left the room? And I'm like, I look at him, I look at her. I'm like, well, she is a doctor, right? I mean, this isn't like your niece here for like a field trip, right? I mean, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't. Why would I care about that? I don't.
No, she's not a doctor. She's just tidying up. She's the
recycling girl. She's going to take all this legal HIPAA and all, we got to be safe. It was just funny to me. And so,
are you sitting there in a robe, like in a gown the whole time?
I was, but then he had to do, testicular exam and then, anal, the prostate exam. And And so, and he was like, do you mind, would you be more comfortable if she left? I'm like, I'm sure done a million of these things. Like,
does
she's
she
a
have
doctor.
smaller fingers than you?
Yeah. Right. Right.
Can we make this more pleasant for both of us?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just sitting there going, and I was talking to a buddy of mine today about this, and he's like, well, I would never have let her stay in the room. I'm like, why? Like, what? Like, on what planet do you think she's looking at you with anything other than like, you're her job right now? Like, that's it. You are not, this is not a date. You know what I mean?
Probably tells you more about your buddy than you want to know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, but he's sitting there going like, she'd have to leave. I'm like, okay, whatever, man. It's weird. It's weird that you would give a shit that a doctor was a man or a woman or in the room or not in the room. Like, I'm like,
that's like, even like, we get this a lot with the massage, it's like, oh, I can only see a female massage therapist. Well, okay. Why?
Right.
Why? And then they're like, well, what do you mean? I just don't want a guy touching me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He must have had a weird Boy Scout experience.
But maybe, and I'm like, who can hurt me the most?
Right.
It's like.
So it's funny. I do typically tend to go to female masseuses because.
No, you can't say masseuses. That's
it's masseurs.
No, massage therapists. There's a connotation. There's even still laws in Baltimore City. I found this out. You can't
stop it.
You can't have a massage parlor outside of the business district. If you use the word massage parlor, that's pretty much code for a brothel.
Okay, so what do you...
You have to say licensed massage therapist, registered massage therapist.
What's a masseuse?
Yeah, that is probably a paid escort.
I have never referred to a masseuse as a paid escort, but okay.
No, it's like licensed massage therapists get very upset about that because
I apologize to all licensed.
No. I'm saying because there's all these code words that like are all these phrases. Like if somebody calls the clinic and asks if we have a shower and they want to book a massage, that's like code. Like, hey, I need to clean up afterwards. It's like, no,
right.
no,
nope. Yeah,
no,
this
it's
is not
horrible. Men are fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Women are much better. Women are different, but they're not much better.
That's funny.
But men are disgusting.
I mean, this I've known for
your whole existence, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm pretty disgusting. I'm aware of that. Yeah.
Yes, I'm aware. Yes, thank you very much. But I don't know. I'm actually I almost videotaped her taking my blood pressure on my ankles today because I've never seen. Have you ever had somebody do this to you? It's a very strange experience.
No. I've seen like femoral cuffs, inside of the thigh. Classically in Chinese medicine, like most people see us taking the radial pulse, but they did take 12 throughout the body, the dorsalis pedis, these kind of things.
Oh,
they're just not used that often anymore.
Right.
And some of
is there one happen to be on the inside of your ankle?
Yeah, but you're not really like, you almost take it the same way as the wrist.
Yeah. So you know what they did? They had an ultrasound probe. Mm-hmm. And I actually heard my heartbeat through my ankle. And she goes, wow, your heart rate's like 59 right now. And I was like, oh man, it's that high. She looks at me. She's like, what? She goes, no, I was telling you your heartbeat's like ridiculously low. And I was like, low? I'm like usually like 51, 52. Like I was like 59, 60. I'm like, are you sure I'm not having a heart attack? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but like that's something with all your your endurance training. Like that's gonna happen. I mean, I gotta sit there and meditate for a few to get mine into the 60s.
Oh, really? No, yeah. I know it's not a big deal, but like I wake up in the morning, if I had like too much wine the night before, I'm like, shit, my heart rate's gonna be like 65. And it's sure enough, I'll look at it, it's like 65. Then I go back to like, I'll have a glass of wine at night, go to bed early. I wake up, resting heart rate 50.
Man, I gotta tell you a funny story. I came home the other night and one of my neighbors, he got out of his car to get something, like he pulled out of his spot and he blocked the middle of the road. And when you're coming home and all you want to do is like just park your fucking car and go inside. And I'm like livid because like I couldn't cut around them and park, and I was afraid I was going to ding my car or my wife's car. And then I get inside and my Apple Watch is yelling at me because my heart rate was over 120.
Holy fuck.
I was, well, but like honestly, I can get to 140, 150 if I'm doing like cardio. You know, and I know that's not.
I know, but like you get that worked up or some jackass in the middle of the street.
Well, see, this is no, you're absolutely 100% right. Totally not Zen at all. But like you have repeated encounters, and none of them are particularly like you're not like I'm squaring off in this with this dude in the parking lot, but you're still going like motherfuckers. He's gonna say some stupid shit to me.
Yes, he is.
Like this is the guy that like. Fuck. Well, he'll never listen to it. But he came over one day, like when COVID hit, and he's like, "I just want you to know, man, my family's been praying for you." And I was like, the government just gave me a giant fucking chunk of a loan. I've had a month off of work. What the, And then he goes, just, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. And he goes, if we could just. Maybe we can come over and have a prayer circle in your front yard. No, that's.
You're like, what in God's name do you think I'm doing?
That's not my family, man. Okay, man. Well, as long as you know JC's the man, and I'm like, whoa, hold on. I'm politely telling you to stop talking.
Yeah,
and then I shut the door on him.
That's so funny.
And I was like, and then he, like, a couple of days later, he apologized. He's like, I'm sorry. I just, I love Jesus so much. And I'm like, that's fucking fine. Love him in your front yard.
Sure. Yeah. Love him in your front yard.
Keep it the fuck over there.
That's so funny.
And there's been repeated little.
Right, I gotcha.
So occurrences that are, like when I step back, it's comical, but at the same time, it's just like dude, I just treated 20 people today. We had 35 people through the office. I'm an hour late to get home. Get the fuck out of my way. Yeah,
100%.
I'm all out of compassion right now.
Yeah, that's so funny. And it sucks because like so from a stress management standpoint, like I hear what you're saying, but like the other day I had a client problem where the client just was driving me crazy. My team was messing up really bad. And I was like, my life got really complicated because of stuff other people did. Like I had like no ability to change the outcome until I knew about it, which I didn't know about till the very last minute. So I am like losing my mind, right? Like I'm freaking out. And that lasted like a good 18 hours. And it was like basically like just this sympathetic overload. Where I was just basically in complete fight mode for just firing on all adrenal glands for like 18 hours. And I was just angry, but like, man, it took like a day or more to like sort of dial that shit back, like 3 or 4 meditation sessions. One of them was in the red light just because that warmth, man, really kind of and the hum of the fans, you know what I mean? Like it's like
see, like I got my little look. I don't know if you can see this one. This is I dropped this down in front of me when I meditate in the morning on my cushion behind us.
Oh, there you go.
It's kind of nice.
It's kind of nice, yeah.
It's kind of nice.
I haven't been done sauna that much lately, and I think that's another thing I got to get back into because that is also a lot of. That's really a comfortable.
It is amazing. It is amazing. Like, and here's the weird thing. When I was doing it religiously, there'd be days where the sweat felt different. I don't know if that sounds crazy or not. Like,
probably does. Sound crazy.
I got some more oil out of me or something. But like, I gotta say, my wife and I'm going to use this term as an actual verb.
Okay.
Verb. My wife and I have been hot tubbing nightly for quite a while.
I mean, listen, I have a hot tub. I love hot tubs.
It's not the same as the sauna, but it's nice. I'm outside and I don't have to talk to anybody.
Now, can you get to the hot tub without too much outside exposure?
So no, here's the thing. Like I'm using it as a contrast thing. So like I'll walk out there like
Oh, right.
at night naked with snow on the ground, and then it's like how long can I stand being outside of the hot tub before I have to jump in said hot tub?
Yeah. And then when you get out, you're so hot that
you're
it
so
doesn't.
hot it's kind of neutralized it. Like
Yeah.
you know when you have a mild
roll around in the
night.
snow.
Yeah, when you have a mild night like tonight, like I know we hang up here, I'm getting in the hot tub.
Sure.
I won't be able to have a cover on me. And like I'll wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh, I'm cold now.
Right. No, you're right. It does last. And you know what's funny? Like the infrared sauna, man, when I get out of that thing, I feel like I've been cooked from the inside out. You know, like you are just like super hot. Like, I mean, and like you get out and I'm like, wow, I am heated the fuck up right now. Like my body is burning, you know, and and I'll put it, mine maxes out at 140, and that's what I just pin it at 140, and you do 30 minutes of that thing and you are hot.
Yeah. You like, I gotta say, like, I think, I was thinking about importing the portable one. I found one on Amazon, and I think after almost 2 years of use, I got to retire her and possibly buy another one.
Why is it just failing?
I had a zipper failure, and then like when we had a leak in the basement, so we ended up piling up shit on top of shit, and one of the frame bars bent. Like I can still get in it; it still works, but for the price point and the amount of use and abuse it's taken over the 2 years. I mean, I was 5 days a week in it. Yeah.
Oh, you were in it a lot. Yeah. See, you know what my problem is like I don't have the time to do that. No. I wish I did. I really do, because if I can do 30 minutes a day in that thing, I think it would be a game changer.
Well, 30 minutes 4+ times a week is where we trigger that 60% reduced all mortality, all cause mortality.
Yeah. Yeah. But see, and you do have to get that high, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's the frequency as well as about 30 minutes, because that's when, especially for the infrared saunas, that's when people start to sweat normally, right? Like I get in there and I'm like, oh, it should be hotter. And I'll do things where I'll turn it on before I get in, So
I always do that, because I found that if I do a 30-minute session, I'm not starting to sweat till like 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Because
that's one of the advantages of the portable ones, man, because I got enough room to drop it right where I'm sitting now, and I'll write in it. I'll do paperwork. I'll do, So I'm kind of doing like killing two birds with one stone. Hell, I mean, there's been times where I've had the human charger in my ears, red light in my face.
Yeah,
I'm playing binaural beats and meditating, and I'm sitting in the sauna.
Yeah, wow, you're just killing it. I usually will do my muse sessions in the sauna or when I'm doing red light, because I feel like that is the easiest stack that exists in stacking.
Why not? You got to be sitting. You're sitting in one spot anyway,
right? And so I also have a couple voice guided meditations.
Yeah.
And so I'll throw that on, and I have them on a Google Drive, because I've gotten them from people, and so I'll put them on a Google Drive, and I'll just like turn on my phone, and like what's cool about it is you can do picture in picture from the Google Drive, and then go over and open up Muse, start a session.
That was a game changing feature when they released that.
Yeah, and then so I'll turn on the no head. So my headband's broken, and I am too cheap to buy another one. So I've been using just the Muse
How long have you had that, man? You should be able to contact Muse. Their customer support's amazing.
I will call them, but I'm not sure how much I care, because like without the headband, the app is just basically a reminder to meditate and a stopwatch, and that happens to track it. So I'm kind of like, all right, well, that's not too bad, because I'm actually listening to a guided meditation
anyway.
So like, I don't really, I mean, at this point, I know it. I've trained my body enough to know what feels like. Yeah. I gotcha.
And
so now I'm like, okay, well, the Muse did its job, right? Like it got me to understand what feels like to be in certain states of relaxation, right? So guess I'm kind of like, I know what, put it this way, at a minimum, I know if it was a decent session, a great session, or a shitty session.
Oh yeah, shitty sessions are the easiest to like.
Right.
That one's an easy one. And I gotta say, like, I know we talked about the Gateway experience and the Monroe Institute, right? They have an app, and I gave them a year subscription, and I've been using that with.
Oh, how do you like it?
So like that weird shit, man. Sometimes it nails me, right? So it's
now,
like,
is it a binaural type experience?
They've
like,
got that. They've got a layered voiceover, and in a lot of ways, like Brain Tap is its own headset, but it's the audio, it's the lights flashing, it is some NLP, it is some hypnosis, and I like that unit too. I don't use that much, but this is what the Monroe Institute kind of sounds like to me. But their guided meditations are interesting because the meditation might be a half an hour long, and you might not hear this person talking for more than a minute or two, and then it'll go dark for a few. Oh, I'm going to let you sit. And then they'll come back. And they have different ones for different, I guess, outcomes, is if you want to call it. They've got some really out there things like getting in touch with your past lives.
Interesting.
And then they also have like, you need to go to sleep. It's super cool. And the fact that now Muse is allowing you to play with that. I did the HoloSync one for a year. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I think we talked about that on one of the episodes. We've done. We've listened to that, I think, together, and I've also listened to it on my own.
Yeah. And I like those, but the HoloSync thing has levels, right? You listen to this one for an hour every day for 6 months, and then progress and buy level 2, and it's like, how much is level 2? $200. How many levels are there? 12.
Oh man.
It's like, wait, you got me for $2,400?
Oh man.
Yeah, and you might want to buy our $400 headphones.
It just keeps on going.
And it was like, when I was doing it, I'm like, this is the jam, man. This is the jam. And then, I went, wow, that's a lot of money. I know this Taoist meditation that I've been doing for years, and that's been paid for.
Yeah, totally. So I have you seen these Opus beds?
One of our buddies actually invested in that company.
Did they?
Really? They did. Yeah, Brian. Yeah, and
he did.
I told him, I was talking to him about that, and I said, hey, man, have you heard of this Opus? And he goes, yeah, I'm invested in them. And I'm like, no shit, can you put me in touch? Because, I got this front office that's a relatively big space, and I would like to put in a bunch of services that are low cost, easy accessible. I'm not curing anything, but somebody can come in and chill the hell out for 20 minutes to a half an hour. And he goes, oh, they're not ready for you yet. And I went, what do you mean? He goes, look, they're getting their stuff together. You got to get the space together. Once they're ready for prime time, I'll put you in touch. But this is also our buddy trying to get me to buy, a 5,000 square foot space and put every toy under the sun in it. Which I totally, yeah, dude, help me do that. But I need like $5 million in the bank for that.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't think you can get them right now though.
No, they're still doing an Indiegogo, I think.
I just looked it up. I thought these things were out of the gate and moving. I actually wanted to get one of these.
It's been a while, and I'm wondering if COVID screwed up there. And it rolls up too. It doesn't. It look almost not like a yoga mat. It's got that triangular base.
Sure,
but it rolls up into a small kind of like some kind of.
No, it's a great idea. I mean, I'm actually like super excited to try it, but now I'm like annoyed that I can't get it.
And that was the thing. I was like, do I pop on this and do the Kickstarter and then just hope they finish it? Like, I want one.
Yeah, it says it's scheduled for the second half of 2022. See, I'll be honest with you. Did you remember the Chillest cooler? Did you see this online?
I saw that. I'm so glad I didn't buy it.
So I bought it.
Is it awesome?
It was awesome.
Jesus.
But
That's past tense.
So here's the problem.
Oh, no.
Here's the problem. First, it took me 2 years, maybe more, to get it.
Yeah.
And the only way I got it, my brother-in-law actually also got it, or did not get it, but bought it on Indiegogo or Kickstarter. Kickstarter was where it was.
Yeah.
They finally got so bad that they came out, they sent everybody a letter. They said, okay, here's the deal. We can't make this happen. We've admitted defeat. If you want to give us $99, that will cover the cargo container that we need to get those orders here, the cargo containers, to get them over here. And that's what the $99 was for. And if you give the $99, we can guarantee we can get them over here, because right now, that's our rate limiter. We just can't physically get them here. So I was like, I got it. It's worth a look. Gave him my $99. Like 2 weeks later or something, whatever the time frame was, I got the ice chest back. All right, got the ice chest. It was great. It was like blender,
I mean, it had like a Bluetooth speaker and everything.
Bluetooth speaker. It had a light inside, which was great for night ice chesting. And I could charge my phone on the thing. It was great. Where do most ice chests get stored when you come home from the beach or come home from a picnic, whatever? Like, where do you
put the shed, in the garage?
Oh, see,
hell, I leave one on the back deck. I'm not.
You got me right there. That's the answer I was looking for. So guess what happens when you leave a battery powered ice chest on the back deck and it rains for a month? Well, that goes that. So the coolest cooler was very cool until I found out that it was going to cost me $200 to have the battery replaced.
Oh, geez, man.
Because it's a specialty battery and they stopped making it. So there's only one store in like Pennsylvania somewhere that will actually sell you a battery for the coolest cooler.
I mean, file that under good ideas and bad execution, I guess. You would think if it was a cooler, it would be somewhat waterproof.
Yeah.
I mean, the inside clearly was.
It was, in fact, not.
That's very sad.
It was pretty sad. I'm not going to lie. It was not one of my prouder purchases. I think there may have been some cannabis involved in the purchase of
I feel like when there's cannabis involved and you buy something, it's either the greatest goddamn thing in the world that ever existed, or it's a tragic failure.
Yeah, most of mine, I'm not going to lie to you, are tragic failures, because I'm just like, I shouldn't have bought that.
Yeah, honestly, most of mine are Grubhub related.
Oh, that's
and
so
the
funny.
Taste may be the best thing ever, but the feeling is the worst thing ever.
Oh yeah, yeah, I hear you. So yeah, I don't know. I buy too many dumb things. We can't get involved with these things. So this chair
is that why we're doing this podcast, man?
I know, but this chair seems like a great idea. And so, but do I get it here? And it's essentially like a Bluetooth speaker buried in a beanbag chair.
What I'll do is come over to the office and I'll throw you on the massage table that I put a couple of haptic speakers on the bottom of.
You told me you were going to do that.
I did it as a prototype.
Okay.
I bought, I think the speakers were like $50 a piece. I got a cheap amp.
Okay.
And then I plugged my iPhone into it. And it's pretty cool. I was playing with Solfeggio tones, isochronic tones. And honestly, I hate to say this, but what seemed to be the best was like deep bass.
Oh,
so
really?
Let me put on dub reggae, because like you don't hear bass, you feel bass, right? So it was nice to have the higher frequencies, but these haptic speakers are vibrating, so they vibrate when there's such a fast flutter versus a big low wave that like you feel like alpha and omega dub, man. That's good stuff.
Interesting. And what are you listening to this on your table?
On the table. So what I did was I did a splitter into the phone. So I had headphones on, and then the other jack was to the amp for the speakers.
Interesting.
And honestly, this red light bulb I showed you before, that was on my face. I didn't get Normatec, but Amazon is flooded with compression boots. I had that on. I had infrared heat on the table. I put the acupuncture mat down. I was like, how many things can I pile on me here?
Yeah, how many indeed?
Well,
so,
and then I was playing with binaurals and stuff while I was doing it too.
So I wanted to ask you, what you said like 10 things in a row there, and I can't remember which one I wanted to talk to you. Oh, damn it, man.
Was it the dub reggae?
No, it was not. Oh man, I do not really. I can't believe I just let it go. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was going to ask you something you were doing on this table.
Yeah,
at the office.
Like, was it the compression boots?
That's exactly it. Thank you. The compression boots. So I do a lot of triathlon, and like those Normatec boots are every fucking Ironman. Like there's like a whole thing out. Like, and
anybody that does cryo was doing that, and I'm like, look, it's like a $1,200 set. If you're an Ironman or a serious athlete, you're probably buying those. You're saving up and getting them. I didn't want to do it at my office, and I'm like, that's why I have a massage therapist here.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we do lymphatic drainage. That's why we do 50 other things. I'm not going to get something that, a serious athlete might do at home. And now there's like an $8,000 one called BOA that, there is a lymphatic drainage suit that I'm looking at.
For your whole body?
You basically get zipped up in it. And you look like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
And it's what's it doing? Massaging out your lymph nodes?
Pretty much. So the idea is that it like has a sectional squeezing back towards the core of the body to kind of drain lymph.
Interesting. You can't just jump up and down on your mini tramp, can you?
Well, you get one of those. You can also get one of those vibration plates. I was thinking about putting together, like I'm hammering this concept of stacking. I was like, well, we could put you on the vibration plate for 12 minutes. You vibrate at that frequency that NASA said circulates lymph. You go on this compression thing, and then you go get a lymphatic drainage massage. I think that's a nice little.
Yeah, you're going to be nice and drained. You're
probably going to feel like shit. You moved like you pretty much just dredged your sewers out.
Yeah, right. I wonder what you'd feel like if you did that. That's a pretty intense stack.
I mean, that's the goal. Like you never want to do something that's going to knock somebody out, but at the same time, sometimes that might be what somebody needs,
Yeah, sometimes that is maybe what you need, right?
Like, look, you're going to feel like shit for 3 days, but after that, you're going to be all right.
I always like those massages or those treatments where you're like, I am going to be fine, but today sucks ass.
I only ever tapped out of one massage, and I was bartering with this woman. So she was rubbing my shoulders, like both hands, like leaning in, really, really working. I mean, she was just tough. I mean, it was a good massage. But then I felt a knee on the back of my thigh, and I went, "Oh wow, she's going for it. This is rough." And then I felt a knee on the other thigh, while my shoulders were being rubbed, and I couldn't breathe. And there was a second where I'm like, oh shit, she snapped and she's trying to kill me. And then, like when they're like, oh, breathe through it. And I'm like, no, I'm crying. I'm like physically in pain. And like, I told her, oh, my hips bother me. That's bothering me. I couldn't walk the next day.
Yeah.
I could.
But then 2 days later, did you feel amazing?
It took about 4.
Oh, wow.
Like I've done some workouts where I've thrown up afterwards. I've done some workouts where I'm like, I'm not moving off this couch. I don't care how bad I smell. But that was I've been punched in the face before. That was worse.
Really?
But 3 days after, I'm like, yeah, I think everything's finally starting to calm down. Now, at the time, I was eating shit, and I wasn't really into what I'm into now. So I think I was in far worse shape. But this woman was not a big woman. It.
You know what, man? Years of martial arts it's taught me one thing. Big ass knock you on your ass shit comes in small packages sometimes.
But like this is if we're just looking at sheer body weight, she was definitely less than half my body weight. I don't know. How was she laying on, well, not laying on me, but basically kneeling on me? I mean, that killed. Digging your knee into the back of someone's thigh is not going to feel good on anybody.
No, of course not. But I had a guy, so I got out of that. So the story I did not finish because.
Sorry, man. I'm sorry.
No. We're two ADD motherfuckers like that just get sidetracked.
Look, I took new pep before a board meeting today, and I'm blah.
Yeah, he is. He was a massage therapist.
There you go.
For the NFL, and he was in off season. This dude was absolutely fucking ripped, and I had him. For a massage in Maui. Actually, he was there, and he brutalized my back and my traps and my scapula, like everything back there. He just like absolutely destroyed, and my intercostals. He like completely worked out. And the next day, I made the mistake of flying 11 and a half hours back to New Jersey, direct from Honolulu, the day after this massage.
Oh God!
And I tell you what, I thought I was having a fucking heart attack. Like my every breath was like in extreme pain. I took 800 milligrams of Anaprox and 2 Advil, and finally that knocked me on my ass. Like, thank God. Like but I was basically like in the back of the plane, like I was like I couldn't breathe, and I was like, and like legit for a minute, like had a heart attack because I felt like something was going wrong, and then I realized that like everywhere that hurt was like from the massage, like basically the guy just totally destroyed my chest, and I literally couldn't take a breath without it fucking killing me, and I was like, I'm gonna stick with women massage therapists for a little while.
I just want something fluff. Dude, I just shared my cousin, Bobby Strom. I'm going to give him a plug. He's out in L.A. He trains, like all the big name celebrities. I mean, he goes to Seth MacFarlane's Christmas party every year. I want you to take a look at him. He does massage. He was one of the first people that turned me on to the Theragun, too.
Oh, yeah.
But just click any of those photos of him. And then I want you to guess how old he is.
Okay. I'm on him. I'm going to guess 55.
He is almost 70.
Wow.
He is 60 something years old. And he's been a professional bodybuilder his whole life. And I just brought that up because like he became a licensed massage therapist. Him and his wife, they own a fitness training company, and clearly they train celebrities, but they do it kind of all for them, meal planning, all that stuff too. And I like that kind of dude will beat the hell out of you, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, this guy's absolutely jacked, by the by.
Yeah.
You know what he's using in this is the tonal. Have you seen this thing?
Yeah. Like I actually got to reach out to him. He's one of the reasons I got a cryo machine. I was at another cousin's wedding, and he came over to me and he's like, dude, I got to tell you what's going on in LA right now.
Oh, interesting.
And he's like, you gotta get a cryotherapy machine at your next place. And I'm like, oh, I actually am talking to this guy from this company right now. And he's like, yo, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. You know, so you can thank him, I guess. I mean,
yeah.
Mayweather too. I saw the Sports Center highlight reel of him, or Showtime for boxing. Yeah.
So like I'm watching him do these like ISO band things across a pool or something, and off a tree, and he's like doing these like snappy hit type, movements. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there going, look, I'm a pretty in shape guy. That thing would fucking kill me. What that guy just, I was like, man, that alone, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think I could do that.
He's no joke. Yeah, and I mean, you'll see everybody that he's trained because he takes photos of them. You'll watch him and his wife do these things on these balance boards that are just like I can't do that with both feet firmly on the ground.
Yeah, it's funny. And it's funny though. I mean, think of it this way. Like he's almost 70. I'm in my mid 40s. But here's the thing. I am easily twice as in shape at 45 than I was at 25.
Yeah.
Like easily twice as much, right? Like, I mean, without even breaking a sweat, right? So if that trend holds true, I could actually be doing that shit.
You could be doing that shit,
I mean, that's, who knows? But right now I am not near that guy.
Well, you know what's crazy? I follow these, it's, what is it? Kung Fu dot something on Instagram. And, they got these like, I'm like, holy shit, these 90-year-olds in China are like breaking bricks and doing like finger push-ups. And I'm like, did they start when they were 4? Or is there hope for me? Is there
is this even possible? No, it's crazy. Well, I mean, one thing I wanted to ask you real quick.
Yeah.
Before I look down. We're kind of
we've been rambling, man. This is the rando show.
Yeah, this is the rando show. So did you see this study about late life high dose metformin causes energy dysfunction?
You mentioned this, and I still have not looked at it, and I'm I'm glad it gave me an upset stomach.
So the funny thing is like I brought that up with the doc today, and he's like, we should have a conversation around your longevity goals, because I agree metformin is an option.
Yeah.
But I want you to kind of look at a bigger thing. Apparently he's a rapamycin kind of guy.
Oh, he is too.
Yeah. And so I just went out to dinner with a guy who called me after the dinner. We kind of shied away from the topic a little bit at dinner.
Yeah.
Although it's 4 guys that I go to dinner with quarterly. 3 of them are like me being the dumbest of the biohackers at the table.
Wow.
By a lot. Like these guys like blow me out of the water. Right. And then another guy who has nothing to do with it, but just likes to hear us nerd out. So, and comes for the beer and company, and he's a fucking great guy. So we end up, but he's got nothing. This is not a topic he's into, but like rapamycin is like this turns out this big thing in this guy's life. And he calls me up. He goes, listen, we downplayed it at dinner, but I've been doing this 1.5 years now. And I'm in like a Facebook group, and it's like 800 people that are doing basically N of 1 studies on rapamycin, dosage regime, side effects, everything, and then upfeeding their data results to this group. And I think there's a scientist or 2 in there that's basically informally collecting the data and running it.
Cataloging it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so basically he's like, look, I know if I take, and I don't know what his numbers were, because I don't take the drug, but if I take 1 gram every week, I'm fine. But if I take 500 milligrams 3 times a week, I get a cold sores in my mouth. Like, so then he's like, and some people get that, but some people don't. And he knows all of he knows all this information about it. And I was like, you are dialed in to this whole rapamycin thing. Like, what the hell? And he's got me curious enough about it, not because I don't know. I don't think I tend to get like that around a single thing. Like I might be really exuberant about like my Aura ring, and I'll talk about it for 6 hours, but I certainly don't think it's the be all end all. And it hasn't closed my mind to other rings that might actually work better that come out some other time. Right. Like I'm not like, this guy seems to be real all in on the rapamycin thing. Like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get there, but I am curious.
Well, it's one of those things though, like, and I'm sure he's not hanging his hat just on that, right?
No,
You
but
know,
it's a cornerstone of his supplementation regime.
But you know, like what I'm saying is he's also not smoking 3 packs a day or something like
No.
that. You know, he's not, you know, so
Yeah.
and I think, you know, it's real weird, man. I've kind of had this, God, this is going to sound messed up. I've had this real existential crisis around this whole longevity thing recently.
Why?
Well, you know, because it's like, well, you know, and I love what I do. I love my family. I'm not rushing out of here. But at the same time, there's this kind of like, look, I'm 45 now. 45 more years of doing this. You know, it's kind of like well, it's something like I enjoy all these things, but like, is there some point where I'm like, nah, I did all the things I want to do.
Like, so you know what's funny though is like I don't understand. I truly and just at a core do not understand that mentality. Like
really,
yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because for my entire life when I was a kid, I used to draw all the time.
Yeah,
like all the time, hours and hours and hours every day since I was like in 2nd grade. Like I did it a lot. And it was really clear I was going to art school and I thought that was going to be my life. I was going to be a guy who drew, and I was exceptional at drawing. It was the only thing I could do like off the charts good. Right. And and I got a scholarship for it. Like I went to school for it. It was great. I got to college, and the thing that made me exceptional at drawing also made me want to be exceptional at sculpture. And for a brief minute, I was a sculpture major, and I was all fucking in on sculpture. And I was a passionate student for material sciences and like, how does this work? And how does that work? And like, you know, how easy is it to carve soapstone versus granite? Like, and you're playing with these concepts and you're like, but here's the thing. I spent a lot of time getting real good at sculpture to realize that I had gotten as good at sculpture as I wanted to be. And so I moved on to the next thing. But now I can speak with absolute precision about a lot of things material science based, which actually comes back into play 15 years after college when I got into like construction and building, like redoing my own kitchens and bathrooms and stuff like that. I'm like, I know a lot about building stuff like because I was doing sculpture and like, but so here's the thing. Here's my point. I want to keep doing that chain of learning for indefinitely. Like
I understand that.
There would be no end to that rabbit hole.
I think this is the God. I don't want to, because it sounds doom and gloom when I say it like that, huh? But it's not that I don't enjoy that. It's just that you know, it's like the video game you play where you level up and then, well, how many levels are there? Oh, you just keep going.
Yes.
Like what happens? No, you just keep going.
No, there's nothing. Nothing happens.
Well, is there like I kill some final boss and like I win? Well, yeah, but then there's another boss.
Right.
You know, it's like you know, at some point I'm gonna be like all in on that game. I'm like, I gotta get all these things, I gotta do all these side quests, and then I'm like, yeah, I played this game enough. Like it's I think, you know, and hopefully that's well past 90 for me. You know, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I mean, I guess like,
but like I also
is people like, right? Like if I do this, but like nobody else I know does,
it's gonna be you and me and like 4 other idiots.
Yeah, like
well, now what?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like who, you know. Yeah, and that's actually like a bit of a concern for me too, because like I hang out with reasonably decently healthy human beings. So like I don't think this is necessarily like a huge problem, but like I mean, this physical I took today, the guy was basically just like, you know, look, man, so far so good. You're leaps and bounds above like in front
where it probably gets, you know, the people that have jumped in because
it's emergent, right?
Yeah, like look, I have an issue. I finally have the money to pay for this. You got to fix me.
Well, you know, it's funny. I found out about this practice from a guy who I'm very good friends with, who sold his very stressful, very high function test company. He sold it for a ton of money, and he found out right after the stress started to subside. You've heard this phenomenon before where like lawyers at a practice, like they're senior partners and they work 100 hours a week until they're like 75, and then they finally retire, and then 3 days later they die of a heart attack. It's like because their body doesn't know how to down regulate out of that like crazy fucking, adrenaline, rush. And the second you do, your body just is like, and we're out.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. In general, I don't know. I don't think that there's a rainbow end for me on this one. I think I just keep going. Like I'm just like the next guy, next guy, next guy, next guy, next guy, do the next thing, do the next thing. I mean, it's kind of what I've done my whole life. It's not getting old yet. So, well, anyway, so what are you getting into this week, man? Let's wrap this sucker up.
I don't know, man. I think I'm getting my older one is going on a week-long camping trip next week with the school she's at, right? So they take the whole 6th grade. And I think I'm getting like the final camping gear stuff together. I think that is our big push this weekend.
I love
is to make sure
stuff.
She's ready to go.
I love camping, man.
The first time I walked into REI, they're like, "Are you a member?" I'm like, "No, but I want to be." And then it's like, "Yep, I am now."
Of course you are. Yeah, I mean, REI is a terribly tragic place for me to go because I have absolutely no willpower.
I'm like picking up like ice climbing picks and stuff, and my wife's
so
like,
necessary.
Why are you? She's like, you've never been ice climbing.
No, but are you just like I want to fucking ice climb right now, man?
I'm in love with the concept of Tom the Ice Climber.
Oh man, that store is absolutely dangerous. For me.
It's bonkers, and you're talking high end equipment all the way across.
Well, that's the other thing. Like it's not shitty equipment, right?
No, it's not.
Funny. The last time I was in REI, there was a guy. I like literally can't make this up. I mean, it's he went in there with literally like an off road like. The Land Rover of unicycles. Okay, it had luggage racks on the front and back, and not carabiners, those cargo sacks like on the.
Okay, all right, yeah, like the saddlebag kind of things. Yeah,
right. 4 saddlebags, and he was absolutely serious as a heart attack when he comes up to me, like next to the guy next to me was a guy who worked there, and he goes, "I'm going on a 2-month tour of the United States on my uni. I'm here to gear up." And I was like, "What?" And he's got it with him, and I'm like, wow. And out of sheer curiosity, I sat there probably a solid half hour when I
just watched.
I was like, I need to understand what the fuck this guy is actually doing, and he was buying. Like everything from MREs to like those to the propane little can to do it, and like to the saddlebags. He got a tent, he got a like rain gear. I mean, he had nothing. Like he was absolutely starting from zero. Like
that is insane.
He had this crazy ass unicycle that was like 4-inch wide knob tires. Like I'm not even talking about like
like one of those fat tire bikes that you ride on the beach.
It's exactly that. So this wasn't even like one of those things.
This is a custom built cycle.
And you just have to laugh because you're like, there's only one place on this earth I could ever possibly have this conversation. And it's at REI.
If you told me that you saw a dude on a unicycle, I would have guessed REI.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, God, it was so funny.
And then you like, here I am going, I don't need to do this forever, but like, as long as shit like that can happen,
I think you just have to keep your mind. Yeah, you got to keep your mind open to check that.
You got to look for that crazy shit. So, what are you getting into, man? I didn't ask you.
So apparently, I'm getting to get colonoscopized. That'll be fun. I'm going to get some cardiac calcium test, which I'm not even sure offhand what that is. I'm more familiar with the echocardiograms and the cardiac stress tests, but apparently the echocardiogram and the stress tests are actually like directional tests to do after this comes back, because the calcium test will give you sort of an idea of your, I guess, thickening of the arterial walls. So
yeah. So men, it's very weird because we don't bleed monthly.
Right.
We can have calcium buildup.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
So
and that can adhere in muscle.
Yeah. So he said that that's step one. We find out where that comes back, and then we kind of pivot and decide which direction we go from there. It might be an echocardiogram. It might be an echo stress test. There was actually another one that I can't remember what it was that I had never heard of, but, and then they have another one, a nuclear echocardiogram. What's the one that you have the dye injected into you?
Oh, contrast.
The radioactive sugar or whatever, whatever that is.
I don't remember what the radioactive sugar is.
I think it's radioactive sugar. You drink it like you drink it, and then it basically gets into your bloodstream, and they can trace it through a scan.
How fast it's going. Yeah.
Well, they can see it from the outside.
That's kind of cool.
Like, yeah, it is kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to be diving in on this.
Sweet.
Yeah, which, sounds a little bit torturous, but actually, given what my interests are with this show and this kind of stuff, I'm actually looking at it as a giant learning opportunity.
You're looking at it as a content generator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he told me that it was pretty much zero chance in hell I could film any of this because I was going to do it on my phone. Like, dude, watching her take my blood pressure on my ankle was a complete trip. Like, I could hear it. It was awesome. I was like, this is fantastic. Why are we not all doing this? But yeah, so I can't film it, but it is going to be an interesting thing to play along with. So I'm taking a little time for that.
Sweet.
So cool, man.
Super cool.
Well, I think we've got some exciting guests in the near future. So I'm really looking forward to that. So, let's get on that and make it happen.
Yeah, we gotta get those set up.
All right, buddy. Have a good week. Man. Take care.
You too. Take it easy. All right, bye-bye.
Be subversive, irreverent.
Health is wealth, but you knew that.
Everybody knows that.
But so is following us on social media at Irreverent Health. And check out our website for more exclusive content at irreverenthealth.com.
Oh, I like this.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Irreverent Health.